Hi, I saw the Backrooms movie yesterday, and so I thought I'd make a video sort of going over my thoughts on it because I do have a lot of thoughts with the Backrooms. Um, Not even just the movie itself, but also just talking about the Backrooms in general. And I love the Backrooms as a concept. Um, if you're just don't expect like a super professional like review, you know, there will be spoilers in this video, but don't expect like a rundown on the entire plot. This is just me giving my thoughts, assuming you watched the movie already, if that makes sense. Like you know everything that happened, and so I'm not gonna explain everything that happened in the movie to you. Um, I'm just gonna explain the little plot points and the everything that I enjoyed about the movie, and maybe some criticisms if I have them. There's only like one minor one I have, but those beginning thoughts out the way. Let's talk about the Backrooms movie. So this might be a pretty big claim, but that was my probably like one of the best movies I've ever seen. Probably the best horror movie in general that I've seen. Um, I don't know what it is, but these like like indie horror creations or indie horror movies have been so good. Like I saw Iron Lung a few months ago. That was amazing. And after I watched it, I was like, I need more of this. I need more of this like feeling. You know what I mean? Like more of this production, this style of production. And the Backrooms movie scratched that itch for me again. And sadly, now there's nothing else. Um, if you do have any recommendations for like movies that have that same sort of energy, please let me know. I I love the Backrooms movie. I think it's like my favorite horror movie. Like I'm so serious. Um, I want to talk about Clark, Clark, Captain Clark. Yeah, Captain Clark. I'm like, is it Carl? No, it's Clark. I love Clark's character. I I absolutely like dig Clark's character. I know this sounds really dumb to say, but I'm so happy he's black. I know, like, so woke. You care about being a black actor. I don't know what it is about it, but there's just this sense of joy in when I see the main character when there's representation, especially when since he's the main character. It makes me happy seeing like the main character of one of the biggest like internet phenomena ever, and it's a black protagonist in the movie. I love that. That's just I know it's such a minor thing. It's like okay, but that's just how I feel. It makes me happy seeing the main character be black and be cool. I really love how at the start of the movie we got a little snippet of how Clark is. You know, with that whole little role play with Mary, his therapist. There was a lot of anger and there definitely be seems to be some sign of like uh abuse, I would honestly say. I'll get into that a little bit later, but I think I love really morally gray characters. I wouldn't even say morally gray. I think he's not a great person, but there is a sense of feeling bad for him. There is a sense of like maybe he can be better. Maybe he can learn from this. Maybe this, this therapy will help. And I was really rooting for him the whole movie, almost the whole movie. And then we cut to him getting his workers, and they go into the back rooms, um, and uh, I absolutely love the scene where the okay, well, I'll go over Clark's character, right? Um, so Captain Clark, I hate Captain Clark. By Captain Clark, I mean the giant statue thing that's like a mimic. That this I think it's still life. I think that's what the term is. Of Clark is horrifying. It's been in my head for a while now. Just that design, it irks me. It freaks me out. I don't know what it is about that design, but something about it just ugh, it's super like massive. It reminded me of the Rolling Giant because at the very end towards the very end when the thing was like chasing Mary, right? There was like this scene where she's on like a really high level and there's just little stairs, and it really reminded me of the Rolling Giant. How the main protagonist of that, at the very end, he was on those like little stairs and like on the top of like the or whatever, right? And while I was watching it with a friend, I went with a friend, um, and it was very fun. But anyways, I was like, is she gonna fall to her death? Like, is this gonna be just like the Rolling Giant? But luckily, she did not. She escaped. But oh man, that scene, that entire just chase scene with Captain Clark, and then I want to talk about the whole abuse thing that I said earlier, right? I this okay, so in that scene was so weird. I want to know, how did we get there, right? Like there was I'm assuming Captain Clark picked up the camera. Because that was tall, right? The scene where he hears his like workers' voices through the walls, and then we suddenly see the camera being picked up. That was probably Captain Clark, right? Because that was tall. That was definitely Captain Clark, I think. And there was just this. And then it just cuts to Mary, and then Mary eventually goes to like the mall, and ends up in the back rooms, and it's so weird. We see we she's trying to look for Clark, and he seems to be hiding, right? Like at first I thought it was like an entity mimicking his voice or something, because we didn't see him. He was like hiding. But then eventually he, showed up. He's like, "Oh, hey, Mary, right? Is this place amazing? You found it, right? Yada yada yada." Um, there's also I also completely forgot. There's also the mural that was just in the room in that Mary saw. I don't know what that's about. That was weird. That is a weird looking thing. I don't know what that's about. But anyways, he freaking chokes her, and then a bunch of memories. We get a little insight on Mary's like childhood. She had a very like abusive, probably schizophrenic mother. I've seen some theories that maybe Mary's mother experienced the Backrooms. And she was like forever changed. I might lean towards that, to be honest, but it could also very well just be to show us why Mary became a therapist, right? Um, I don't know. We go either way on what why we saw her mom, and why we needed to see this like backstory of this character that I personally didn't think really need much of a backstory, but it was awesome to see it regardless. And then so we go to the scene where she's like in the kitchen, and Clark is talking about how the more remembers, the less it does, and the I'm just gonna call them the duplicates. There was the electrician that was duplicated, um, which he took chunks out of. There was there was the still life or duplicate that was like on the in a wheelchair. I don't know if that's referencing someone. It'd be really funny if I'll come back to that, but um, and then there was also the still life of Clark's ex-wife. Was it wife or just girlfriend? I actually don't know. I don't remember. I think it was wife though. No, yeah, divorce. I don't remember if it was wife or it was just girlfriend actually. But the point is, that's Barbara. That was his ex lover or whatever. And when Captain Clark shows up, she just immediately, or when she hears him, coming in, she just dashes, and that makes me think maybe Captain Clark is how Barbara saw Clark. Like, I think Clark was definitely abusive to his wife. I don't think it was just that night that broke her. I would think that there was just a lot of abuse going on. Um, and because we definitely learned that Clark, the therapist snaps. She's like, "Yo, you keep blaming everyone else, and that's just how you're wired, right? I can't help you, man." That's such a sad thought. Your therapist is telling you, "Oh, I couldn't help you," right? That's sad. That's sad. And she's like, "Oh, you don't have to change." And then it was so sad because Clark was like, "I don't want to change," and it was like, you can't save him, man. You really can't save him. And he came to that. Mary was like, "You don't have to change, it's just the way we're wired." And the scene where The Captain Clark comes in. It's like, it's okay. He just gets bit. I don't know. That scene was really funny. It caught me so off guard though. Like I thought it was just gonna be a little hug, right? Like a gentle little hug, and then he just gets bitten, and it just comes out of nowhere, and the anxiety and just everything just rises. And oh man, that scene was so good. Seeing how I love how Clark was just, or Captain Clark was very slow. It wasn't like rushing for Mary, but it was chasing her. It was horrifying. That thing, I hate how tall it is. It's so rolling giant coated. I hate how it looks. I hate how tall it is. I hate that thing. Um, Very interesting to note is it seems pretty close to looking like Clark, right? Like it looks pretty close. Like besides the wonky eyes, I'd say it looks pretty freaking close to Clark. It's taller than a normal one than a normal still life too, which is very interesting. So I'm very curious as if we're gonna learn more about whatever that was. Um, which leads me to my next point thing or next thing or whatever. I'm so happy that Kane got this out, and now he can focus on the tapes, right? We can get more of the tapes. Um, and I'm curious if some of the movie events will be referenced in the tapes. Like maybe we'll learn more. We'll see. Maybe we'll see Captain Clark, or maybe we'll see. Like I'm curious if they're gonna reference certain things from the movie. I kind of doubt it. It felt very secluded in its own world, but I think it would be kind of fun to like reference it at least like a little bit. I think that'd be awesome. Um, I'm super curious about that time where the Captain Clark picks up the camera, and then that's the end of Clark for a while, and then until we return to like him literally choking her out, and then what happened between there, right? Like, did Clark kill his workers, or did the duplicate of him kill his workers? I'm just curious how that interaction went down and why they seemed so chill with each other. Because I think there was like, you know, the scientist showed him a picture of Clark with Captain Clark or whatever walking with him, and so they were like chill. But then Captain Clark was like, "No, I'm gonna bite you." I'm curious why the creature was suddenly, or the entity or whatever the heck. I don't care. I've used like a million names for Captain Clark. Why suddenly he's like, okay, I'm gonna bite you and murder you, right? Like why, Um, but I absolutely love this movie. Undoubtedly, there's gonna be. I feel like it would be smart to make a sequel. Maybe not anytime soon. I really want Kane to focus on uh, the series. Maybe the second movie could be a sort of finale that's way more connected to um the found the found footage and whatnot, right? Um, I'm I'm super excited to see more Backrooms content. Honestly, I am just after the movie, I am just starving for more Backrooms content. I'm also curious if in the tapes are gonna like they're very VHS, but I wonder now moving forward that maybe some of the tapes won't be VHS, that some of them will be more very cinematic, so we can see Kane's cinematography and like how the movie showed it. I wonder if it won't just be VHS tapes now. We'll have more clear shots. That would be very that'd be very fun to see. Um, but that's about all I have to say regarding the movie. Um, Very excited. They could totally make a sequel with more levels. I mean, the Backrooms is endless, and I really kind of hope he doesn't do it. But you could totally milk like a million sequels, just showcasing multiple levels and just tons and tons of levels. Because again, it's infinite. But you know, I don't know. You could totally do that. But I mean, I feel like that gets stale pretty quick. But I would love at least a sequel, maybe a third movie. Where I don't for pushing it. Um, because I mean, you're gonna get bored of it eventually. I feel like, um, I'm curious as to like who's rate is rated hard. Um, I'm curious as to how a sequel would look, and what character and what self-contained story it'll be, or if it'll be more connected to the tapes. Right? I'm curious. I think it'd be very fun if the final movie is also a final send off to the tapes that sort of wraps everything up. But that might be kind of confusing for casual watchers. So I don't know. We'll see what he does. It's very awesome to see this be a reality. I hope we get more indie horror movies because this has been an amazing to just see. You got the Digital Circus, you got the Backrooms, you got Iron Lung, and I hope we see more. I really hope we see more. This has been awesome. Um, yeah, I'm not much of an editor, so I'm probably not even gonna edit this. So I'm just gonna awkwardly like end it right now. Uh, enjoy. Have an amazing day. Hope you have an amazing day. Um, I'd love to hear your opinions on the movie, things you loved about it, things you might have not liked about it. I just want to talk about the Backrooms what's on. I loved the movie so much. It was actually genuinely like so peak and amazing. And yeah, thanks for watching. It feels so awkward. Just I'm just gonna okay.